Good morning, Internet. Welcome to another MMO Anthropology, and I am your host, Amarist. I'm here with my good friend Skyhoof on the Nesingwary server of World of Warcraft to talk about a calamity that has struck them recently. So, Skyhoof, I hear that Blizzard has been trying to merge servers together and that this has caused something of some mechanical or at least interesting game glitches to strike Skyhoof and other similar servers. Can you discuss for the audience a little bit of what happened and the sort of effects that people have been feeling?
Sure. Mainly the big thing that happened is when we had our server merge with Vek'nilash a couple of weeks ago. I think it was Halloween week that we got the merge. It's been pretty nice for the community overall, but the next day when we got the 5.4.1 patch, which was supposed to put in the new recruit a friend abilities, which they actually turned off that same day, I think, because of various bugs and issues. Well, many of us logged into our tunes here on Nesingwary on that Tuesday, and a lot of us found that we either couldn't log into the tunes that we had, or many of them were just flat out gone.
I hear that you kind of labeled this as the fall of Nesingwary, and like, why did you see it as a dramatic effect to everyone? Like, what? How many tunes people couldn't access? How many guilds were unable to connect?
From what it looked like on the one tune that I could actually access on Horde side, since, as you can see, I'm a Tauren, and
Hmm.
this guild is the Horde side one. We have an Alliance side guild as well, but I couldn't access any of my Alliance tunes. I only had 6 that were still showing up on the server as it was, and I personally freaked out. I was going, no, 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 this has to be a bug. This has to be a glitch. Something's wrong here.
That was
But once
one
I
out of
finally
how
got,
many?
I have 11 tunes on this server,
Okay.
which is the maximum amount.
And you got reports from other people that they were suffering a very similar effect?
Yeah, once I found this, and my boyfriend who plays Blackest Bull in the guild, he went right away to the WoW forums because I was still trying to think that this was a glitch of some kind, just something wrong on my end that needed a reboot. So he found threads on the forums. Tons of other people in great detail were flipping out about their characters being missing, their guilds being gone, all sorts of craziness, and it was definitely not any different with me. The one tune that I could get into the server with, I was looking at, well, there was no guild chat to read, so we kind of made our own little global server, not global server, but chat channel
Hmm.
to have some way to talk to everybody else without having to add everyone on real ID just yet.
Hmm.
And it was happening all over the server. People coming in on lobies that they made just so they could talk to somebody and figure out what was going on. Everyone was having the same problem. Missing tunes, getting booted from the game when they try to log into somebody they can see. All of it. It was pretty scary because we didn't know what was going on. Blizzard didn't know what was going on just yet, but they did know about it in mass,
Hmm.
because the
Complaints.
threads that popped up on the threads that popped up on the forum about it, they just grew in size within hours.
So how long did this effect last, or was it just like a one-time thing that caused you unable to connect to stuff, and then you sent in a message and Blizzard fixed it, and then it stayed fixed?
Well, I put in a ticket shortly after reading some of the stuff on the forums, just like everybody else at the time was doing. And because this apparently, from my understanding, had never happened with any of the other connected servers, viewers feel free to correct me because I'm not a regular on the Blizzard forums. Um, everybody put in their ticket. Devs had us put in a special code for our tickets to get our tickets to come up in the queue faster because this was a dire issue.
Mm-hmm.
This was crazy. Um, let's see. They wanted us to detail, like, what tunes we were missing, exactly the problems we were having, and just make sure to be patient about it. It wasn't until a few days later that they tried, actually that same day they tried doing a couple server restarts, and it just seemed to make problems worse, because while we quote-unquote got some tunes back, we started getting tunes that we had used character services on ages ago, like dummy template copies of lobies that we haven't seen in years, or we've moved off the server, or done a name change to, and none of these characters were supposed to be there. And upon logging off of the server, in the selection screen where you see all the other servers you play on, it was showing up that some people had 15, 24, 36 tunes on the server. That's not even really possible. It was getting a lot weirder, and none of these alts most people could log into. It just comes up with the typical error that the game gives you if you're undergoing, say, a character transfer to another server. Of you have to wait until this tune is done with the service that you implemented.
So basically, what you're saying is that when this was going on, the ghosts of alts past were rising up from the grave and haunting you.
Pretty much, and in a way, it kind of made me a little bit nostalgic as for a few other people on the server, because they were going, "Hey, I have this tune that I deleted, or I have this tune that I moved to another server that I don't like. I wish I could just keep these guys." Well, I kind of wish I could keep all of my other tunes that I moved to roleplay servers on here too, but that's not exactly gonna work.
Well, now that most of this has all calmed down, what sort of an effect did it have on the guilds that you're part of? Was it disruptive, or did people just come straight back after it got fixed?
Well, that's kind of the hard thing to say, is that it wasn't a thing that could be fixed with just one big fix or update or anything. It ended up, from what I understand, it was some sort of a API issue from merging the servers. I don't know why it was just Nesingwary that was affected. Vek'nilash wasn't affected at all.
And that's
none of the tunes on,
That's the server that was merged with Nesingwary.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nobody on that server had any of the problems that we were seeing here on Nesingwary proper. And that's a big mystery to me, because technically with the server merging, it's all one server.
Well, I think that's probably enough to cover about the sort of dramatic crisis that occurred in the beginning, but it looks like most of it is dried up, or at least been corrected as much as it possibly can by this point. After all, this happened back in near Halloween. So I'm interested in what sort of changes has this made for the community in the server proper. I expect that means you're seeing more people than before, but what does that mean?
Well, Nesingwary, I've always considered it to be a medium population server that has kind of a 9 to 5 sort of regular population, people online, if you want to look at it that way. Not exactly 9 to 5 during the day, but just kind of those business hours, if you want to think of it that way. It's been kind of a sleepy little ghost town in the same respect, because there's big chunks of time in the day where there's just not a whole lot of people on. But since getting just this one server mixed in with us, you actually see a lot of activity in the lobby starting areas, in more popular zones like the shrines out in Pandaria. It's kind of taking a while for the auction house economy to kind of balance out. I haven't really been using it much myself. Just
Well,
been
what
working
did it
on
end
leveling.
up? Well, what did it end up doing to the auction house economy?
Nothing really bad for the most part. It's kind of in a state of flux right now as things even up.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really heard too much bad about it. Expensive things are a bit more cheaper now. That's really the only thing I've personally noticed.
Mm-hmm. Now that Vek'nilash and Nesingwary are essentially merged, which, I mean, people can see each other from both of them, have you discovered that any of the guilds that you're on have decided to do some sort of cross? I mean, can guilds cross those servers now, is what I'm asking?
Yes, if somebody makes a tune on Vek'nilash itself,
Mm-hmm.
we can invite them into the guild here on Nesingwary. And we're getting a third server connected to us, which is Nazgrel. I'm expecting within the next week or two. They didn't give a specific date, but the batch of servers they were going to connect before Nazgrel, I think they've already done it.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as I know, none of the weird issues that we had have happened to those servers either. So,
So it's pretty
so far
much
so good.
Nesingwary appears to have been the crisis case. So
For whatever reason, it appears so.
is there any anticipation as for another server being added so soon by people in your guild or people that you've been playing with? Like the expectation that they'll have new blood to play with? I know that a lot of this has probably been already eschewed by Blizzard because the LFR and LFG system already happily grab from other servers. But does it open up more possibilities for your guilds to get together with other people, or like what sort of feeling are you getting from the people that you play with?
Well, so far it's been a really positive experience. I don't know per se that we've gotten a whole lot of new people from Vek'nilash itself, but for those of us in the guild, like myself, for example, that are big into having alternate characters,
Mm-hmm.
altaholics, if you will, we really love having the extra space to make alts, level them, have fun, and have them all in this guild where we know they're safe, we know who everybody is just about. We don't have to worry too much about people being AFK for too long because everybody talks in this guild a whole bunch.
Mm-hmm.
Guild chat is almost never boring.
You're
never
very
dead.
social.
Mm-hmm. That we are.
Well, that's about all the time I have to for this interview. Thank you so much for your time. This is my friend Nutmeg playing Skyhoof on the Nesingwary server. We came here to talk a little bit about the Blizzard server merges and the weird crisis that crunched down on Nesingwary, which she labeled as the fall of Nesingwary. Ha, exactly. Fortunately, it seems like it hasn't really wreaked that much destruction. It was just disruptive for a while, and then after individuals went to Blizzard to get it fixed, they've gotten it swept out of the way rather well, so hopefully this won't be occurring again in the future. But I want to thank everyone for watching.
Hopefully not.
Indeed. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Skyhoop, for coming along. And to the rest of you, good night and good dreams.